So this is going to be a demo on how to use the white and black slip that we have in the classroom to decorate our sculptures from Project 1. So here in the orange cap we have the black slip, and then in the white lid we have the white slip. You're going to take individual whisks and you're going to whisk it up really good, and you want to get that all that stirred up together, because if a lot of it kind of sinks to the bottom, and we want to make sure that it's all nice and homogeneous throughout. And you're going to do this with the white slip and always kind of rest it on the lid so that you're not spilling it anywhere, getting it on tables and so forth. And then use a ladle to kind of scoop it into a cup or some kind of small container. We have some in the classroom, but I would suggest bringing some in for your own use. And then just get a little bit so you can have it at your table to use. You can share it with your partner at your table as well. So that was the white slip, and you want to get white and black. So you'll see me here in a second. I will then make sure I close it by really kind of hitting that down. Again, mix it up really good. Be careful not to mix it up too vigorously, because then you'll spill it off to the side. We want to make sure that it's homogeneous and mixed up thoroughly, but we don't want to waste any. Again, I put that on the lid, and then you can also just kind of dip your cup in like that and wipe away off the excess if you don't have a ladle handy. I do that. It does make a little bit more of a mess, but it's not too bad. And then again, put your lid on securely and then put the whisk on top. I usually kind of wash them off in the sink. So for this, you're going to need your sculpture, white and black slip, and then some brushes. You're going to need one brush for each one. And then I have these whiter ones that help get surface. These are really nice. You can get these online. Any craft store will have them. But they're really nice because they cover a lot of surface pretty easily. Then you're going to need a needle tool, a carving tool of some sort if you want to do the sgraffito technique, and then some scrap paper and a pair of scissors if you want to cut out and do the paper resist. Okay, so on this top cone area, I'm going to kind of paint this all with the black slip. And then I'm going to do some sgraffito to it here in a second. So here I'm making sure that my brush is not super soaked, but filled with slip. And I'm just carefully painting it, make sure not to get too much to drip. If your piece is really hard, it will stick better. If your piece is kind of soft, it might drip. And then I switch over to this small brush to get that nice closer detail. And I just kind of take my time. This is sped up here to make sure that I get it nice and straight. And then on the other side of the cone, I am going to paint that with white slip. And then you can kind of see that I'm overlapping on the edge there. I will just go back and paint that and clean that up with some more black slip. So I got a little dot there. If you spill some, just kind of take your sponge, a damp sponge, and kind of wipe it off. That's not going to do any issues here. So with this, I'm going to show you 3 different techniques on how to decorate. So this is one where you're just painting the different sections of your piece. And here you can see I'm fixing that little line to make it more sharp. Then you're going to want, if you do the paper resist, that's really easy and fun. You're going to kind of cut some shapes out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a triangle and a square out. And then, so there's a triangle. And then you can just do this really quick. You can use stencils. You can print images of certain patterns or things like that. Cut them out with an X-Acto knife. These are just a triangle and a square. It's a very simple technique, but you can do more complex. Then I'm going to dip it in water, get the whole piece of paper wet, and then I'm going to find where I want to place it, and then I place it, and it's going to stick to the surface, and I kind of make it smooth it out, almost like a stick-on tattoo a little bit. Kind of smooth that out, and then I'm going to do the triangle, dip it in water, get it wet, find out where you want to put it, and stick it there. So this, having the open shape, is when I paint it, this is going to become like a block. So when I pull this off, it's going to be the clay underneath. So for the square one, I'm painting that all with the black slip. making sure to be kind of careful on the edges. I only want it on that side, making sure not to drip as well. And you also want a nice good coat. I would do a couple coats at least. And then on this part, I'm just going to paint it white. Again, the white is a little thinner, so you might need to add 3 coats instead of the black with just 2. So, and then I just let that dry, and then I'll pull the paper off later. And then, so you can also do things like where instead of the whole thing, I just like did some dots here, and I did these freehand. So you can do freehand painting. You can paint any kind of imagery, flowers, maybe any kind of drawings. You can be very painterly with it if you wish as well. With these, we kind of also want to look at our inspiration, like the building architecture or the paintings, and maybe we can get some inspiration for the design and patterning and so forth that we're going to add to the piece from our inspiration photos. So make sure you have your inspiration photos printed or on your phone or something like that, and you're looking at that while you're working. So here, I'm just going to paint this top of this cylinder here, and I'm going to show you how to, if you mess up, how to clean it up. So I'm just going to kind of bloop, do that, and I am going to kind of add a little bit more. And then so if that happens, a quick easy fix is pull out your metal rib. And then you just kind of scrape that, being gentle, and kind of scrape it off, okay? Use your metal rib, scrape it off, and just be very gentle, not to gouge into it or not. But if you mess up or you want a really nice crisp line like I'm getting here, you can just kind of scrape that edge with your metal rib. And then there you go. And then it's nice and cleaned. Don't go over it with a sponge until it's fully dried, because if you do that, then you're just going to smear that nice line that you just created. So now that those sides are dry, I can take a needle tool and kind of just take the corner of that piece of paper that's stuck there and kind of peel it up a bit, and then slowly peel it off, and there you go. It's that nice paper resist. And then so do this, and doing the same thing with the triangle, being careful not to gouge into it, to pull it off, and there you go. So now I'm going to do a little sgraffito, which basically a sgraffito is where you're just going to carve the surface, just barely into the surface. You can either do it really deep and get some nice texture on the surface, or you can do it very little and just get some different patterning. So here I'm just going to draw some lines going from the tip of the cone to the bottom of the cone, and I'm just carving that black out and creating these lines. So now it's going to be black with these white lines that are kind of protruding through it. So this is kind of fun, where you can then carve any kind of imagery, really. You can stencil some images and things like that, and you can really get some detailed, nice drawings on your pieces. And here, just to kind of show some more freehand painting, I'm just going to paint with the black with my paintbrush and draw some lines going the other way. And that's just kind of reflect that sgraffito on the one end, so the black and white on one end to the black and white on the other, just kind of mirroring it but opposite. So that's kind of fun, kind of interesting. Add some nice dynamic to it. Just like that. So there's a lot of different things you can do. These are just a few examples. So be creative. The paper resist is also fun if you want to do, like I did the negative, where I put the paper on there where it wasn't going to get painted. You can also do something where you kind of create a stencil, so you can create a nice shape. So here I'm just going to create like a triangle inside of a box. And so I have this kind of shape that when I fold it out, it's like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where I want to put that. I'm going to put that on the cylinder. So again, you dip it in water to get it wet so it sticks to your piece. Find out where you want it, just like a temporary tattoo. Then kind of lay it down, smooth it out, make sure that it's fully attached and connected to the sculpture. And then you're just going to paint inside that paper, and that's going to give you a nice sharp line shape. So like I said, this is just a very simplified version of this technique. You can get very detailed, you can get complex. You can even cut things like snowflakes, that kind of stuff, like very detailed, and then get it wet, lay it on your piece. You can cut out imagery. You can print something from a picture, cut it out, and then do it. And then usually I would let that wait a little bit. You can kind of use a hair dryer or something like that if you wish, if you really want to get it done. But I just let it set up for a little while. And then again, carefully peel that paper off. And then you'll have a nice, perfect shape. Simple as that. So let's do this during class and outside of class and get these done hopefully by next week. Okay?